Wisdom Seekers. It's Becca Niederkrum with another episode of Becca TV on AgingInsider.com. And I have two fabulous guests sitting here with me. Liz Emery. Welcome, Liz.
Thanks so much, Becca.
And we have another special guest sitting right in front of us. Who's this?
This is Izzy.
Hi, Izzy. Aw. Hi, Izzy. Oh, my goodness. What's Izzy's role? Is Izzy the VP of your company?
Yeah, she's in charge of...
Is she your muse?
She's my co-founder.
Izzy, the co-founder. Well, Izzy, thank you so much for being here. It looks like Izzy can barely keep her eyes open.
I'm sorry, she's like half asleep. I think I woke her up from her nap.
Oh my, napping on the job. Well,
I know.
And we have something else in the image as well. We're going to get to that, but I want everyone to understand who you are and what you've created. So tell us, what is lizandette.com?
Well, lizandette.com is an e-boutique that I created. I'm a designer, and I'm really focused on helping loved ones maintain dignity and style when they're facing health challenges.
Fabulous.
Specialized apparel, and it's really adapted to the patient care setting.
Nice. And one thing, and I'm going to show pictures up here. I have to pop some fabulous pictures on. There is just such fashion and fabulosity to what you're creating.
Okay.
Liz, how did this idea come about?
Well, it's not something I ever thought I would be doing in a million years. My background's completely in public health, and I was in med school when my grandmother suffered a stroke, and I became a caregiver. I moved home, I left school, and totally saw this need, like through my experience at her bedside, that there was really a need for more fashion-forward and functional clothing that was still dignified.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. So you're in med school. You are a full-time student, and one day you get the phone call that your family needs you to help out. Is that what happened?
So I was a second-year student. I was at St. George's University in Grenada. So I was living on an island in the Caribbean.
Wow, okay.
And my grandmother, who had been, completely independent, ran a business out of her home, was 88 years old. I flew home to be with my family. We all took care of her in the ICU. And then she went through rehab, and my parents moved her out to Indiana, which is where I'm from, and to manage her care. And it was almost a year process before I ended up leaving school. I helped take care of her over the summers, and whenever I, could leave the island to get back home, really tried to help triage her care.
Okay.
So I really tried to be involved with her care while I was still a student. But when I was home over winter break and she had suffered pneumonia, we ended up moving. My family moved my grandmother out to Indiana where they could manage her care, and she was in a nursing facility for rehab. She actually was able to start walking again. I mean, I essentially lived in a nursing facility with her for like a year. Like, that's kind of the point, is that I was there I mean, not just me. It was it's completely a family process. I'm the oldest of four kids, and then my parents, and so it was all. My sisters were flying in on the weekends, and my mom was running to the nursing facility before work, at lunch, and after work, and I was able to fill in because I was on summer break and could be there during the day. So we ate every meal together. My nanny always insisted that I order a platter. She's like, get yourself a platter. It's my treat. We'd put it on her bill. She still wanted the dignity of having that control and that independence. And even though she was completely dependent on others for everything.
Were you with your grandmother? So during the summer, when you were the one that was there, were you spending the night, or were you there just from the beginning of the day, early morning till nighttime with your grandmother? Did you see the entire day with her?
So when she was doing well, I was usually just there during the day. We would go to do her speech therapy and her rehab, and I was there for all of her meals. And when her health started to deteriorate and we ended up in the hospital, I was, at her bedside. Someone was always with her, staying the night. And then we started staying the night in the nursing facility as well. Sleeping in a chair, sleeping on the floor.
Wow. So you really saw, I mean, it's just the 24/7, what was happening, and also what needed to happen, which is what got you to the idea of creating a design boutique is from just that day-to-day interaction with your grandmother. So what was that? Did you have an aha moment of, you know what, my grandmother is a human being. She wants her independence. She needs a little bit more dignity in this situation. Did you have that sort of aha?
Absolutely. It wasn't something I was able to process or deal with until after she had passed away, but because I was in the trenches of caregiving, you're just so busy. It wasn't something I could work on at the time, but it was almost a way to kind of work through kind of the caregiving process and what that was for me. That doesn't make sense. But like in retrospect, I was thinking of all of the ways we could have done something better. As much as we tried to maintain her dignity, the one thing that stuck out in my head was having to put a bib on her at mealtime.
Okay. So you were with your grandmother during pretty much every mealtime. If she was telling you to order a platter, you were there right with her, and then the residents of the rehabilitation center were all given bibs with their meals.
What bothered me the most was having to put a bib on her at mealtime. Everyone in the nursing facility, she was in the healthcare wing. She needed assistance with all activities of daily living, from bathing to dressing to feeding. But she was completely intact mentally, so she knew it was a bib. Men and women had to wear this awful plaid number.
Oh, wow. So that's what she was given at the rehab hospital?
On her every meal. And she knew it was a bib. Here she was, very independent, like you said, running a business out of her home at the age of 88. And then, a couple months later, she's in bibs and diapers, and it was just completely life-changing. So I really became a hands-on caregiver. I learned from working with the aides how to dress her and transition her and, use a gait belt and how to feed her, and just saw such a need for improvement in that that all this happened. So
well, that's the best way. And you are just a classic entrepreneur, that you're in the trenches of this challenge, and just being with your grandmother, trying to be supportive, but at the same time you're thinking, wait a second, she's mentally completely alert. There's got to be a better way. And through that experience, you realize, hey, my grandmother needs a better, some better clothing. And not just my grandmother, but there's probably a lot of other folks that would appreciate having a little bit more dignity when they're experiencing a health challenge. So you came up with the Liz and Et designs. Tell me, you have names for some of these designs. Can you tell us a little bit more about who Rose and Faye and Gigi are?
Sure. So I've named the smock box, the different patterns, actually after my nanny's sisters. So they're all my great aunts who have passed away, but they're all really strong women, and each had a personality all of their own, which I think each pattern and each design reflects that. So they're named in their honor.
Nice. Okay, so you have, did I get the names right? You have the Faye, the Gigi,
yep,
and the Rose.
Yes.
Okay. Fabulous. And what's unique about these? You designed the colors, you designed just the way it fits. Did you have to look into all those different areas to make it better than what that bib was that they were giving your grandmother?
Absolutely. So I definitely wanted
You're doing great.
So when I designed this mock back to really, first and foremost, cover the lap, because the bib that we would put on my nanny at mealtime, it didn't matter. We ended up having food in her lap anyway. As much as we tried to cover her lap with napkins, they would fall on the floor. We end up having to change her clothes after mealtime. And that was such a struggle, because trying to dress someone with limited mobility really is difficult. And it's a struggle not only for the caregiver and the aide, but really for the loved one as well. And she ended up, the more she's frail, so the more she was handled, the more bruised she got and the more injured. So I thought if we could prevent that just by coming up with a more dignified design, fashion and function was really what I had in mind. So
yeah, absolutely.
that's really where I became a hands-on caregiver, a full-time primary caregiver would be the right word. We converted our sun porch. We did a hospice care, and she ended up passing away in my arms there with our family, because it's where she didn't want to. Whatever, we'll not go into that, but really, okay. Sorry. So 4 months after my nanny passed away, my other grandmother's health declined as well, and that's really kind of where my aha moment connected, because it wasn't just a one situation with my nanny, but my other grandmother as well. And I can say this better. Shoot.
That's perfect. So your grandmother passed away, and shortly thereafter, your other nanny also started to have declining health. And is that when you had your aha moment of, all right, something needs to be done?
So it initially, when we started having to cut my grandmother's clothes up the back to dress her in bed, it clicked that there had to be a better way. You shouldn't have to take scissors to your loved one's clothes to be able to dress them in bed. Our other option was a hospital gown, and we didn't bring her home for hospice to feel like you're in a hospital. So, she still wanted to wear her sexy nighties, and but to really get those on and off, we had to take scissors to our clothes. But we did what we had to do, and it really kind of clicked when we had to. 4 months later, after my nanny passed away, that my grandmother had limited mobility as well, and what they did in her nursing facility was just put her clothes on backwards. And so here she is, actively, it sounds terrible, but actively dying, but she's like her clothes are on backwards, so she could feel that it was on the wrong way. And I realized that there was a tag that was bothering her. So, again, scissors at the bedside, I'm cutting her clothes, cutting the tag out. I was like, this shouldn't have to happen.
Right.
There should just be a better way. So, so then I started designing.
So did you start just sketching, grabbing a piece of paper, a notepad, and sketching designs that would be the best way to clothe somebody?
So I literally taught myself how to sew. I started designing, and I made a pattern out of poster board.
Great.
Brought that out to New York after I had, put together a few prototypes.
And at this time, did you leave medical school?
Yes, I had left school.
Okay. You are a self-taught designer, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. So you said, all right, you're seeing that your grandma has her clothes on backwards, you're cutting out the tag, and then you just take it just another level. So you're watching YouTube videos probably and doing some self-study, and you start creating patterns to provide to the folks you're in New York City now, correct?
Yes, so I started coming out to New York and working with cut and sew manufacturers here in the garment district, and was able to take my prototypes to sample stage and then on to small volume production.
Excellent.
So everything's made professionally now. And
excellent. How exciting. Yeah. Your grandmother would be so proud. And by the way, the name Liz, obviously you're Liz, and Et, where does the name Et come from?
So my nanny's name was Ethel, and her nickname was Et. All the cousins called her Aunt Et.
Oh, perfect. So that's
So
how lisanette.com was born.
it was.
Okay,
And
so,
it's on my
oh, put
table
that
as
up
my
nice and close.
inspiration. So
Oh, what a great picture. Fantastic. Well, that's just, thank you so much for sharing that story. It's definitely an emotional story. But at the same time, your grandmother would be just so proud of you that you said there's got to be a better way for others that are, in this situation. So let's talk just quickly about that. If someone, who is your product for? The smock frocks, and we're going to get to that tunic right behind you. Who would be interested in this type of product?
So the smock frock is really designed for anyone with limited mobility. So the people that are most interested in the smock frock are assisted living facilities, any caregivers with loved ones with limited mobility. I actually use it when I'm washing the dog or commuting and eating food in the car.
Oh my gosh, perfect. Yeah.
It has a wide variety of applications, but
absolutely. So Liz, this product is fantastic, and I can see, in my experience, I would imagine that assisted living centers are calling you, geriatric care managers, home health agencies, caregivers themselves, just specialty boutiques even who want that dignified, fashionable clothing. Am I on target with the people that are calling?
Oh,
or am
absolutely.
I totally off base? Okay. Yeah. So I could just see that being just a huge hit with folks that say, listen, I am, my mobility is limited, but even if I have a 100-pound dog, and when I have to give her a bath, I usually get in a swimsuit, but I would think, would it be crazy if I wanted to wear the smock frock to help me out?
No, absolutely. It's for anyone because it's completely waterproof. So
okay,
so
I can wash my dog in it. So it's for anyone, but the need came about for this specific situation because. Really, for me, if I'm washing my dog, I have an alternative. I can get into my swimsuit. I can get into an old t-shirt. But if I'm on the go, I can throw on a smock frock. However, there is no alternative for the patients or clients of geriatric care managers. They do not have an alternative. And so this, to me, is an absolute for somebody who wants to keep dignity, right?
Thank you. Yes, I absolutely think so.
Yeah. Okay. So I love what you're doing. Let's talk about the purple elephant in the room there behind you.
Sylvia,
it's not an elephant. You've got a mannequin. Okay. So, you guys, I was so lucky to see this at, Liz is always out and about at all the conferences. I saw this at the Boomer Summit in Chicago. And can you show off this tunic? Because this is what's coming next, right?
Sure. Yeah, okay. I was actually just out today, finalizing the design.
Yay!
And
great.
So again, this is really the inspiration came from having to dress my grandmothers in bed and either having to put their clothes on backwards or take scissors to their clothes and have to cut them. And
yeah.
I figured there had to be a better way. So what I came up with was this tunic that really goes on from the front. And it'll close in the back. I'll show you here in a second, but is accessible for any healthcare provider if you need to do blood draws or IVs or even just need easier access to put the clothes on. I don't know.
Okay, let's do a 360. Let's start with the arm, and just you guys from just this view, I'm feeling very. This is very DVF, very. Dion von Furstenberg for you guys that are watching. Very Tory Burch. It's very stylish, classic, and simple. So maybe you could start at the arm because when I took a look at this, I saw that there were snaps up the arm. Can you show that off?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. So make sure you can see on the camera.
Yeah, move that camera around. We'll just get right in there. Awesome.
Yeah. So. The sleeves both have snaps all the way up the arm, so you can easily access.
Okay, hold that up and hold it there. Okay, so what we have are snaps, and this is perfect for someone who needs to have an IV in their arm or a transfusion, excuse me.
Yeah, so if you have
correct?
an IV, you can just run the line through and snap the rest of it and
Mm-hmm.
still have access. Or if you need to
Yeah.
check blood pressure, check your vitals, like, um,
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. This is so fantastic. And okay, you guys,
oh yeah,
look at the thumb. No, seriously, look at the thumb.
have
The
thumb holes.
thumb has a thumb hole. This reminds me of one of my running jackets to keep my hands warm. But you know, if you're in a place where you have an IV in your arm, that means it's probably a hospital and they're always freezing cold, right? So this thumb hole can keep someone's hands warm and they just have that sense of just coziness while this treatment is going on. And so I love it. Okay, you were showing the back. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, so it's all about comfort,
Yeah,
dignity, and style. And
love it. Okay, here's the back.
if
Oh
Sylvia
my gosh. How super
so just
chic.
snaps on the
Okay,
shoulder. We have
can you show the snaps at the top? Can you pull that down? Take it off and then put it right here in our face. Just there, just hold it up.
hold what?
Okay, so you pulled it apart, that part. Yeah, just hold that. Okay, so right there you have, is that Velcro or snaps?
No, it's snaps. I have
Oh,
a
okay.
personal issue.
Fabulous. Now, why would that open up in the back? What?
So, if you've ever tried to dress someone in bed, you'll know that it's a struggle to put something on over their head and have to raise their arms up. So this goes on from the front, and you don't have to try to reposition them and try to tuck and pull, clothing down in the back. So it's supposed to be easy. If you need access back here as well,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Awesome.
so the other thing is like if for a hospice mattress, you need to have
Mm-hmm.
contact directly so you don't end up with sores. So
Mm-hmm.
this would be great for this because you can still have coverage in the front, but contact with the hospice mattress in the back.
Okay. Okay, so let's get to the good stuff.
Okay.
Where, if someone is watching this right now, which I know they are, and they said, oh my gosh, this is brilliant, because you've been in the trenches, you know exactly what someone who needs this clothing actually needs. Where can someone buy this?
Well, you can shop directly online on my website,
Okay, and that is,
lizandette.com.
as if we haven't said it enough.
I'm gonna have to spell it though for you. So it's just LIZANDETT.com.
Okay, perfect. And tell us, you've got the smock frocks and you have the tunic. What sort of price point or range are we looking at on spending?
Sure. So the smock frock starts. It's at 65.
Okay.
And I'm still figuring out price point for this one. So I
Okay.
don't know if you want to.
We'll check back. We can definitely check back.
But
Okay, fantastic. So I love it. So someone can shop online and just from the safety and coziness of their own home, get what they need, ship it to who they need to, or ship it to themselves. And then, finally, where can people chat with you and get in touch with you? So we've got your website. Are you on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn?
I'm on everything. Yes,
Yay.
I can check me out on Instagram. I'm
Okay.
on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. It's all at Liz and Et. And
Perfect.
you can always catch me on email as well.
Okay, perfect. So, of course, I always put all the links right down below. And Liz is very active on social media. So if you have a specific question or you have a specific challenge and you want to know, hey, does the tunic or does the smock frock meet that challenge? Just talk to Liz. Just tweet her, Facebook her, ask her the question. So, Liz, I really want to thank you for sharing your story. It's very touching, and I really appreciate you sharing those intimate details with your grandmother.
Thank you so much, Becca. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh, no problem. And thank you for creating what you've created. It's truly entrepreneurs like you that are making a difference in this world. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone. Fabulous Designs. Who are you?
Oh my gosh, I didn't know we were starting. Can I take like a break?
I was trying to surprise. I was trying to throw it in so it would be seamless, and then you were like, "What? Is he a good girl? Is he a good girl? Does Izzy love Liz and Et? Lizandette.com? Izzy, are you the co-founder of Lizandette.com? Does that make you curious? What's your favorite color, Izzy? Is it pink? Purple? So sweet.